Mr. Gbanite, I'm sure you can hear us in the studio. I just want to ask, do you think that we should also have a structure for possibly recognizing the heroes of this battle, not just in terms of the military front, but perhaps the civilians as well? Do you think that could have any effect whatsoever on the psyche of citizens?
Thank you. Thank you for raising this point. I agree there is a need for structure, but first of all, how do you get a structure in a community that is devastated, in a space that is ungoverned? That means that there is a need, first of all, to strengthen the local government authority so that the police, all the buildings that used to have the police in the affected areas have been devastated. They need to be rebuilt. But before then, what is going on in the internally displaced camps? Do we have proper filtrations in the internally displaced camps to be able to understand who is who? Everybody that is in the IDP camp is not necessarily someone who is internally displaced. And there can be someone who is part of the Boko Haram terrorists but have infiltrated the camp and use the camp as their own base to monitor activities before carrying out any kind of nefarious activity. Therefore, we need to move in not only NEMA, Nigeria has a commission on refugees, NIMC needs to move in, the police need to move in, civil defense, so that you can do proper filtration of these people. The North, you must understand, knows themselves. The word head knows who the village head is, and the village head knows all the people in the community. And so that they want to do it. We need to bring all these people together so that they can begin this act of filtration by saying to us, this gentleman is not from our community and should not be part of our community. And then that gentleman will be questioned. What is very alarming, and we must take cognizance of this, is that the new suicide bombers are getting younger, and they are mostly young girls, which means someone has radicalized their mind. It means that the military and security agency need to go after the religious and moral builder for this Boko Haram. We must find him. He is the head of the snake, and hit him. Then you need to go and look for their financiers. Then what do you need in making IED? A special wire. Who manufactures them? How do they come into the country? What all the components that make up an IED, you must be able to single it out and understand how it comes into your community and be able to block it and block access to those that will need it. And a lot of work needs to be done, and it's not just left for the military alone or left to the security agencies alone. The civilian JTF are there. They know themselves in their community and no strangers who may see one.
Mr. Gbanite, allow me to come in very quickly here.
What you're talking about did not just happen in Yobe. Look at what happened in Chad, where they attacked the police college. So the war has taken a new dimension, and we are going to see it before it gets better.
So many points you've touched on now, and I would love us to look at possible solutions if you have any. You mentioned JNI, which is also a religious body, and you talked about some of the clerics that should be speaking now to see if they can de-radicalize some of these young ones, as well as, well, cutting off funds that comes to this terror group. What better ways do you think that we should explore that we haven't explored already?
Well, the issue of JNI is important because, first of all, the Boko Haram claim to be an Islamic organization. The president and commander-in-chief have called them fraudulent Muslims. Those who know the truism and the true teachings of the Holy Quran need to step up the plate and get into the IDP camps. The people we see in IDP camps, you must understand, spent many years in Sambisa forest with this Boko Haram. I don't know if Stockholm syndrome has set in, but we need to find out. That means we need to move in the Nigerian Society of Psychologists need to bring in psychoanalysts to come in and discuss with these people, have friendly discussions, and know who is radicalized in order to be able to de-radicalize them. We need to bring in imams that know the truthfulness of Islam to get into these camps and begin to then reverse all the garbage that we are fed into the minds of these people, for them to see the religion of Islam as a peaceful one and as a friendly one, as a non-combatant religion. If we don't do this, we might have some problems, because these children are only following what they have been inculcated into, and therefore we need to rescue them to make them better citizens of this country, so that they will be able to come back to the community as human beings and not people who are waiting as sleeper cells. Because that is what we are having, what we have now. There are many sleeper cells within this village, and at the whims of the commanders of Boko Haram, they are activated. I also want to tell Nigerians not to be dissuaded that from reading the
just hang on. We'll come to that. Mr. Gbanite, just hold on. Let me bring in Colonel Dari on this one. We'll come to you in a minute. That part wherein many think that, oh yeah, we should be able to identify some of these people even after they're dead, subject them to forensics and get proper identity. Again, it takes us to the question of having a database. We always talk about these kind of things. After all, what's intelligence predicated on? Isn't it database? So how far away are we? I mean, are we paying attention to that kind of scenario? Because if we're talking about the police, they also should be working with data. If we're talking about local government, we should be working with data. If anyone could, even if they see the images of those people, can they properly ID them to a large extent?
Again, to my mind, that brings into fore the issue of corruption.
How?
We are supposed to have a national identity project, a program. By now, you should be carrying your national identity card. Do you have one? And what about you? I don't have one.
Well, sometimes it's a matter of choice, because the offices, they say, are open, and you would think that not a lot of Nigerians are keen on registering
their... It's not choice, actually.
It shouldn't be a matter of choice. It should be a statutory thing.
The reason I say this is because
it shouldn't
quite
be
a number of
choice.
people have argued as to, that the institution by itself, by now, should also find other means to get data. I mean, if you ask if we all have driver's license, for instance, the answer most likely may be yes.
Because you have to drive your car.
That's one.
And if you don't produce a driver's license, a policeman will stop you.
So it means that your data is already somewhere. Right now, we already have banks collecting BVN, bank verification number, and you must submit your biodata as well. Most of us have voters cards. You've also had to, drop your biometric imprints as well. And then it would seem that from one institution you have SIM cards, you also had to register with biometric information as well. So it would seem that
everywhere.
Exactly, it's everywhere, but not in the national identity, management. But everywhere, but the national identity card management system, and that itself, maybe you should, tell the national identity management system how to go about sourcing data that it needs to populate its database. Don't you think so?
I agree with you. I agree with you that the National Identity Board or Management Authority should be able, to consolidate and have, a common database, such that, you can get information about anyone and everyone. And of course, talking about, the identity of those people. Even, for example, in the IDP camps now, part of the exercise that should be going on there daily right now is profiling. Even the suspects too. The moment they are arrested, they should be profiling.
Well, that's all.
Pardon me, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back and then wrap up this discussion. So don't go away.